How's it going, YouTube? Back for another live stream. If you're joining us, welcome. If you've not watched us before, probably not, because I've only had a few views. But nice to see you. If you're watching, straight into it, I suppose. What's been happening today? Not much. Really, I suppose it's been same old, and kind of how I expected it to be this week. I think, we were fully expecting this week to be story after story after story. Stories from TalkSport, stories from other channels, stories from radio, news, papers about the sacking and plenty of odds and tales and all that kind of stuff going on. So yeah, a bit of a sort of a period where everyone's a little unsure, but just kind of want to talk a little bit about Sancho, really. Sancho, what's next for Sancho? What's next for Donny Van Der Beek with POGBA now injured? He's going to be out for what seemingly is looking like January. As POGBA put Man United in a situation where it's make or break, put the money where their mouth is. A heck of a lot of money by all accounts. Or do we sort of accept that we pay Pogba what we want to pay him, and we accept that he's worth it, and we match it. I don't know personally. I think I don't think we should do that. I think we should I think we should really be sort of keeping ourselves pretty tight-lipped on the situation with Pogba. Let him decide whether he wants to stay at Man United, not let it be the other way around, and take it from there. Really, I think not straight into Pogba anyway. So I want to talk straight into talking about Sancho, and I just wanted to look at his stats. I was having a bit of a look at his stats before. I was, unlike probably a lot of Man United fans, I've probably been a slightly weak one on the Sancho thing. Obviously, Sancho was a big story last season, never happened. Then it's come through this season, and we got him. And I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of Bundesliga. I haven't really got round to seeing much of Sancho, really, if I'm brutally honest. Seen clips of him and seen European games, but just kind of really wanted to look at his stats. I thought they were fairly interesting, really, in terms of how brilliant he's actually been. So I just get these stats up here, if it'll allow me to do that. I think it's playing ball. But yeah, so yeah, his stats are incredible. 137 for Borussia Dortmund. I mean, go back further than that, really. Look back at his time at under 18s at Man City. 22 games for Man City. He scored 15 goals, which 22 games, 15 goals, under 18s. No doubt he was probably a lot younger than that as well when he was playing. What does he have? 21. So, he's been at Borussia for how many seasons? That's incredible, isn't it? Under 18s for Man City, scored 15 in 22, 6 assists. So, pretty much potent every game. For the under 23s, Man City under 23s. Let me just see if I can get this up. It's screen grab. Decided not wanting to play ball. Oh, that's why. Let's try that again. Let's just change that. Oh, there we go. So let's just try that again. There we go. Is that going to want to do it? No, I don't think so. No. No, it's not playing ball. Try it one last time. Yeah, we can see if we can get this up. Tried it earlier on before stream, but was working pretty well. Let me see if I can do it again. what we're going to do. We're going to change these settings on this, and we'll see if we can get this up. But yeah, just talking about that son. So his under 18 tally there: 22 games, 15 goals, 6 assists. Incredible stat. Incredible stat there. From Sancho, and just once again, like I mean that's a few years ago, and how potent was he back then? With that, absolutely incredible. See if we can get these up now. It seems to be working. There we go. So you can see, just get that, minimise that a little bit. So there you go. So Borussia Dortmund. These are Sancho stats, as you can see. Man City there, under 18s, 22 games, 15 goals, 6 assists. Under 23s, Man City, 7 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. Just absolutely incredible. And then, his time under 19s, 6 games, 2 goals. Went to Borussia, played for the under 19s, so didn't even get straight in there. Went to Borussia Dortmund off the back of obviously being at the youth ranks at City. Played 5 games for the under 19s in the Champions League, scored 3 and assisted 1. Second team, got an assist out of 3 games. The under 19s, got a goal and assist in 1 game. Then plays for Borussia Dortmund for the first team in 137 games. Got 50 goals and 64 assists in 137 games. I mean, that's just incredible. That's an incredible stat from a young player of only 21. 50 goals, 64 assists in 137 games. Just absolutely incredible. Obviously, Borussia have got a fantastic team, but United should be with the same squad. Ollie should be looking at that Borussia Dortmund squad and going, what can I do to make this fella Sancho my main threat in my team? How can I turn him into the next Ronaldo, the next next Rooney, the thing that is running our team, and he's got a capability, and those stats just prove it. The stats prove it there. And looking at those stats, he's scored, 50 goals, 64 assists in 137 games. It's just unbelievable. So, yeah, unreal stats. So, Sancho really, like I say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I mean, whether he'll get another chance, he'll probably get the sack, to be quite honest, won't he, this week? As we talked about it yesterday. Obviously, protests happening on Saturday, which personally I don't agree with. I think it's something that some of the fans just feel like they're going to get a reaction out of the board. I don't think the board react to stuff like that really. What's going to scare them is there's going to be they're going to fill that stadium out every week. Whether those fans that turn up to protest don't turn up to the matches, there'll be another 70,000 that'll take their place. This club's massive, and I don't agree with a protest to get out Ole Gunnar Solskjaer personally, but I think if he does get a chance, he's got to look at this guy's stats. I mean, those stats are ridiculous. And then you look at Man United's tally there, so 13 games, no effects, no goals, no assists. Just not good enough, not good enough, especially when you look at every other place, every other, team that he's played for. I know a lot of them have been youth teams. He's an academy, but it affected the game. Every time he plays, this is a guy who affects the game. The criticism he's come under, and now the reports about him being played as a right wing back, is just ridiculous, and it just shouldn't happen. That can't happen. It can't happen with Sancho when you look at those stats. And yeah, hopefully Ollie's looking at them and he changes it a little bit. But that's the situation that we've currently got. And that's Sancho stats. I wanted to have a quick look at Donny Van Der Beek as well, really. Obviously, we've just mentioned that Pogba's now injured. We mentioned it yesterday. Obviously, saw the clip from the France game in terms of In terms of his thigh injury that he's picked up now, and does that give Donny Van Der Beek a chance? Surely McFred can't play every game as much as I'm sure Ollie would love to do that. Has he got to seriously look at playing Van Der Beek? And I think he's got to. I think he came on against City, showed a little bit of fight. I thought it was. I mean, Paul Ince said today that he felt like Ollie was taking the piss out of him. Really, I mean, he's taking the piss out of him completely throughout. But was that kind of like the final straw in terms of really just putting the last nail in the coffin regarding Donny and the kind of bad feeling in the general sort of bad blood that he's had with Donny and some of the players and the man management skills. He's been really sort of poor on that. And I was listening a bit on the radio today regarding Fergie and just regarding how good of a manager he was, really, and not from a tactical perspective or anything like that, or a coaching perspective, generally as a man manager. When a lot of the feedback that you hear about Fergie, a lot of the positive things that you hear from the players that he's played, that he's coached, generally the feedback that you hear is that he's such a good man manager. He knew when players were at a low, and he knew how to motivate them. He knew when players were on a high, and he knew how to keep that up really, and keep them enthused and keep them motivated. There's been, I remember, was it Wes Brown or Giggs or Scholes, or definitely I think it was Rio maybe, come out and said before about how he the impact that he had with Ronaldo, and I think he did, on one occasion he give sort of Ronaldo the head eye treatment one day, and it just blatantly didn't work. You put Ronaldo down, and I think Fergie learnt from that in terms of Ronaldo's man management skills, and he's done that with a lot of players. I think with Rooney, for him, he needed to play every game. I think when he wasn't playing, he didn't feel like he was at his best. He wasn't a player that he drops very often, whereas other players, would probably appreciate, a rest every other game, maybe, play Saturday, miss a Wednesday game or Tuesday game and play the following Saturday. Whereas Rooney wasn't that kind of player, and Fergie knew that, and that's been that aside from it all was the best part of Fergie's management, really. His man management skills, his understanding of a player's positives and negatives, and how he's been able to get the best out of his players. And with Solskjaer, you think that that's something he would learn. Whether he's then speaking to these players behind the scenes and saying what he thinks is the right thing to them to get them motivated. I think Ollie's experience as a player probably wasn't the best for the players that he's now managing. I think he's learned by constantly having a chin up. He wasn't the greatest player that we'd ever had in the club, but he did his bit. Obviously, turned up in big games. He scored a fair amount of goals. He's obviously scored in a Champions League final to win, and he had that can-do attitude constantly through his career at United, where when he got his moments, he took them. But, that was in a squad that was successful, where he didn't have much argument. He couldn't come into that team and say, I demand that I should be playing. It was very much a case of, Ollie understood that, but with Van Der Beek and the players on the fringe, and Sancho and Martial, and these players that aren't getting game time, how can you keep them out when the players that are playing every week are not performing? I just really don't see how he's got any sort of leg to stand on regarding that. So yeah, but pretty poor in that sense, really. But yeah, so on to sort of Van Der Beek and his stats. Let's have a quick look at Van Der Beek. Muck up the stream quality a little bit. Maybe it will, but we'll see. Let's try and get Van Der Beek stats up if we can. That's his national team stats. Yeah, we can't see. I just can't seem to get his entire stats up. Let's have a look. Yeah. So he got his national team stats up. Anyway, it doesn't particularly matter regarding that, but regardless of his his stats prior, Van Der Beek deserves a chance. He deserves a massive chance now. And there's been a big thing about POGBA now about POGBA deserves a contract. He deserves his massive contract that he doesn't want to leave. He hasn't said he wanted to leave. He wants to, and you know full well it's coming from his bloody agent. We all know that's where it's coming from, and we can't do that. We've got to tell Pogba where to go. I mean, again, as I said before, it's up to Pogba to make it really clear that he wants to play for Man United. He knows that squad is moments away from competing across all facets of competitions. We're still in the FA Cup. If we bounce back, we turn a corner, we've got every chance of winning that. It's not the biggest and greatest cup anymore as it once was, I suppose, for some of these clubs, but still a cup. I know Van Gaal won a cup that year, won the FA Cup, and still lost his job, but I think the FA Cup is still a big cup in my eyes. Maybe just not in world football anymore, but still in the Champions League by the skin of his teeth. If we turn it around, get through that group stage, every game's a knockout game, and you just never know. Over 2 legs, we turn it around. We get the right management in, get the right sort of level of coaching in, get some sort of level of cohesion and the right sort of team ethic, and you could be looking at a really good sort of like opportunity to turn this around. So yeah, definitely positive in that regard, in terms of, I think we get the right management in. We get the right manager in this week or next week, and then we could be looking at turning this season around. I mean, we're 11 games in. There's plenty of time to go. Yeah, the title's gone. Top 4 is the next challenge, because the way that West Ham are playing, the way that Tottenham are going to improve with Conte, the way that, annoyingly, like some teams mid-table are starting to perform now, like your Palace. Obviously Newcastle will be a challenge, I'm sure, after January, after they make some acquisitions and Eddie Howe gets his feet well and truly under the table. So yeah, we need to kick on now. We need to kick on and knuckle down. Once we get this mess sorted out, this next 2 weeks, this international break, as much as everybody and fans dislike it, I mean, personally, I'd love to just bounce back straight into the Watford game the weekend after this weekend and just cracked on. But obviously that's unfortunately not an option. So what we've got to do now is sort this mess out. It's not helped that Ollie's decided to fly over to Norway and go on holiday for a week, and then tell all the players that they've got a week off. God knows, unless he's thinks that bringing them home, all a fridge magnet home or some rock or something from Norway is going to improve everybody's mentality and cohesion and team bonding. I don't think a piece of Norwegian rock is gonna do the trick. So yeah, we'll have to see in terms of that. But I think it was a pretty poor move in that regard. Maybe the board have kind of made a decision out with Ollie's hands and said, look, take a break. We want you to do that. We want the players to take a break. We've got a decision coming up, and that's the way it's going to go. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, we've like I say, this next week or two, the board have got to come out and make a claim, make a statement. Embarrassingly, they've already done one this year. There's already been a protest this year. The club is a mess. Yeah, things come in cycles, but this club, this team, this squad, it should be good enough to be performing better than they are performing. That's terrible thing that the performances have been woeful. You know, and that's what the fans are more concerned about. And the way that it's going, we could be looking at mid-table. The way that it's going, it's not good enough. So that needs to change. That needs to change quickly. And this, like I say, this week and next week is the best opportunity to do that. Is there much else to say, really? I mean, obviously, like I say, there's some. For me, he needs to be coming back by the end of this week. I don't know when Ollie's due to come back from holiday. Whether, assuming that, there's no sacking made. The problem being is that who comes in? Everyone's on about Ranić, or Ten Hag, who's been, name's been listed as third favourite for the last God knows how many years. Them two. There's Brendan Rodgers, which everybody's like, half of fans are up in arms about, half are sort of, be okay about. I'm a little bit, regardless of his Liverpool sort of connections, I'd be pretty happy about. I think in terms of his man management skills, he's unbelievable as a man manager. I think what he's done with Leicester has been brilliant since the Ranieri days. Obviously, I don't think anybody would expect him to win another title, but I think he's kept them pretty consistent and fighting sort of where they should be fighting with the squad that he's got. I thought he did well with Liverpool when he had Liverpool, almost won a title. It was very unfortunate he didn't that season. So yeah, obviously, he's a good man manager, and I think that's what we need. Somebody who understands the players, who can speak to the players, who can deal with the media. I think Ollie's, as much as Ollie's been in this country, and I don't think he's had much media training as well. Like, he seems to struggle to speak on the spot and speak confidently when asked questions. When you're the manager of a club like that, you need to be fairly prepared in terms of what you're going to say, especially when you know genuinely what the questions are going to be about. I mean, going to any press conference now, the questions are going to be around your job, around some of the players out on the fringe, around the performances, which will have been evident in the game. And so to be and ahhing is all almost like shocked about the standard of performances. It doesn't seem right to me. It seems quite odd that when he speaks in the media, it's almost like he's really uncomfortable doing that. And I think a British manager who's got a little bit more experience in that field as well it would be key. I think that's where Van Gaal again struggled with the British media, failed there. I think Jose Mourinho is his own worst enemy, and I think naturally he had the British media in the palm of his hand when he first came in. That kind of effect that he has over the media, and then he steadily loses it. He did that obviously when his times at Chelsea, comes in, has that kind of bravado and that personality and that charm and that charisma, and then he just eventually the fight figure him out and he becomes his own worst enemy. I think Brendan Rodgers is quite a quiet man. I think similar to Fergie in that respect, that he protects his players, says the right thing, doesn't dwell on it, moves on. But at the minute, there's too much media hype on him, and having several of your rivals and even neutral fans singing Ollie at the wheel, and it's just embarrassing. And for his own sake, he needs to look at that and just think, is it time? Is it time to just hand this over to somebody now who's more experienced? And that's all you're asking, really. An international job would be somewhere near his remit now, because effectively what he's doing is risking his future in management personally as well. I mean, off the back of this, ultimately, although it's the most sort of high profile job you will have in any club football really, other than maybe the current Barcelona job, similar. The Real Madrid job obviously comes with a lot of pressure. There's probably no other jobs that I have that sort of level of pressure on a day-to-day basis, and for Ollie to be thrown into the deep end and be learning like that on the job. I think even like Fergie, if Fergie was to rewind the clock and come into this job now, it'd be probably one of the reasons that he decided when he decided to sort of call it a day, because the game changed. The game was changing. He could see it changing. He's a clever man, and he could see that this youthful management was coming through, and I had a different sort of level of passion to the game, and had a lot more to offer to things that Fergie had been and done, and he'd been around the block, and he could see the social media aspect of football coming into it, the fan base growing in that regard, and it's a difficult thing to have to bat away. Now with the social media aspect of it and all these channels similar to this one where everybody's got an opinion, everyone's got a voice, everyone can gather quickly on things, and I do agree that I think it's good that fans have a voice and are able to cast these opinions, because there'd be nothing worse than us all sat here now without the platform to do it in the current state of affairs. But I don't think it equally helps, and that's probably one of the reasons why we had such a good season last season, when there was less of that pressure on occasions, especially away from home, when a lot of the time we were going behind and we were finding ways to come back, because the players played with almost a kind of a freedom and a pressure, when a lack of pressure, when as now that pressure's heaped on us tenfold, even at Old Trafford, where the players are just dwindling under that microscope, even at home, in front of their own fans. So yeah, it's a difficult one. I think, as I say, I think if Ollie survives this next fortnight and he's there for the Watford game, he'll be there at least till the new year. I don't see, if he loses the Watford game, or regardless of the Watford game, let's say he wins the Watford game, I think the Villarreal game, and I've said this before, is the critical one. That's the big one. He needs to be winning that game, and that game there is a Champions League final. Ironically, it's kind of a repeat of the Europa League final, because for Ollie, he needs to win that game against Villarreal. He can't suffer defeat in that, and I think even a draw, probably mathematically, if things work out the right way, it probably end up being the case where we're still in with a chance and still top or whatever it is. But I think he's got to win that game. He's got to win that game, with the last game being Young Boys, and then we're through in the Champions League. And let's be honest, the Champions League to people like Ronaldo matters a lot. So we need to win. We need to win that game. And I think if he loses that game, there'll be massive questions asked then, massive questions, and big uproar from the fans. But as I say, if the board are going to do something, they need to do it now. I think it'd be naive to keep Ollie till Watford, and then be allowing Ollie to roll the dice on a game like Villarreal, because then you've got Chelsea next, and it's to be rolling the dice on Villarreal, then going into Chelsea on a weekend with a brand new manager. It's just not. It'd just be hugely naive to not give somebody time to at least a week to bed in. So yeah, well, as I say, pretty blank week, pretty blank day in terms of anything happening. Really want to quickly just chat about Sancho. Look at his stats really quickly. Everybody can, as you can see early on, unreal stats, and he's got to get him firing, and somebody's got to get him firing, whether it be Ollie or somebody else coming in. That kid has got to be, one of the first names on the team sheet, and we've got to build a bit of a forward line around Sancho. Same with Mason. For me, I mean, if you look at the Borussia Dortmund team that was ripping it up in Europe in that time, when he was, there with Haaland and Jude Bellingham and Royce and all those players, it's a young squad with dotted experience in it. You've got to look at that model really for United and say, is that something we can learn from? Can we get Mason up top playing like a Haaland in a centre forward's position? He showed that at the start of the season, and then I'm not saying, no way am I saying it's anything to do with Ronaldo's fault, but the trouble is the team that we've got and the way the fans want to play. We've got a squad and a formation and a team that you could play that would not suit Ronaldo. It would suit Mason Greenwood. It would suit Sancho. It would suit Martial. It would suit Rashford. The players that we want to see going forward, the players that we've been developing for the last 2 or 3 years, that are now coming to the coming to the front in terms of their age and their ability. Mason at 20, Sancho at 21, Rashford 22, 23, Martial at 25, 26. These players are in, it's in the prime. They need to be playing every week, not, with all respect to Ronaldo, the big European games are what he thrives on. Watford on Saturday, obviously we all want to see Ronaldo get 1 or 2, 3, but, would it not be more encouraging to play a team that we know would be suited to play Mason and Sancho and Rashford and those sort of players, playing Van Der Beek in the middle with a McTominay, or with obviously Pogba's injured now, so with a McTominay, but if Pogba was fit, a Van Der Beek with a Pogba, with Shaw and Wan-Bissaka and Maguire and Lindelof in the middle. I've still got faith in Maguire. I think the criticism that he's been getting is completely unfair. I think you don't go from playing some of your best games in some of the most high-pressured environments in the Euros to suddenly being incapable months later. I just don't believe it. Same with Shaw, just don't believe it. That's just form, that's confidence, that's getting behind your players and giving them some level of confidence. And I think as a fan base sometimes, from a media point of view, we can be just a bit toxic with that. And somebody has a bad game and then straight away swapping him out for a Barry or somebody else, and he's a good player, and he needs confidence around him. Is Van Dijk considered one of the best centre halves in the world because he's playing in a team where players don't have confidence? I mean, Salah's arguably knocking on the door for the Ballon d'Or. Sadio Mane's been unreal. Henderson in front of him, confident on the ball, take it off and play these 20, 30 yard balls or little interchanging passing. He's got Thiago coming out, like Keita. He's able to play his game. I'm not suggesting Maguire's as good as Van Dijk, but what I am saying is they're both international players. One was almost winning the Euros a few months ago. And I don't believe that he's not good enough to play for Man United. I think, confidence again, especially when he gets back with Varane in that when Varane's fit again in hopefully in 3 or 4 weeks' time. And then you never know into the new year, and we've got to kick on. So yeah, interesting times. I think, unfortunately enough for Ollie, and maybe fortunately enough for us as fans and for United and the team, we probably will see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer get sacked this week. I think, is the protest enough of a threat to do it before Saturday? I don't think the Glazers care really. What the United fans are going to do? Go there and start smashing up Old Trafford? I doubt. Obviously they're not going to do that. At least I hope they don't do that. That'd be daft. Would a protest be enough to threaten the board to sack him? I don't think so. I think they've got to be prepared. They've got to start setting things in motion. If they do make an acquisition or get somebody that they really do want, then they need to act upon it as soon as possible, i.e. tomorrow, the day after, Friday, tomorrow or Friday. And obviously then it stops this protest on Saturday, which again, they shouldn't be making an acquisition or a replacement because there's a process coming up. I think it's got to be regardless of that. But if they are going to do it, let's not wait until this protest happens and then be making a decision anyway. Let's just try and get it done as soon as possible. Not only for that reason, but it also means then that we we get somebody in with and they get a week under the belt to understand where they are, where the training facilities are, what the level of coaching is like, what the preparation is usually like, what the meal plans are like, what the whole setup is, the distance from the training ground, Carrington to Old Trafford, all the little things that you need to understand as a manager. The whole setup. What squad have I still got left? Not gone on international duty. I need to meet the players. What's the youth squad like? What's the under 23 issues squad like? Meet some of the staff that I've not got. He's not changed. All the things, and that's going to take days and days and weeks and even months in some regards. So the more time he can in terms of just getting his foot over the line to understand some of the basics, so that we can get set up ready for the 20th, which is in 10 days' time, which is the Watford game. Then that's what the board need to do. The wait until another week, then it's too late. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. Yeah. So, if you've been watching, then appreciate the support. Possibly going to do another stream tomorrow. Probably going to do another stream tomorrow, regardless if there's any news. Obviously, if there is some big news, and we all know what that means, Ollie gets a sack, then quite clearly there will be a lot of news going out there, and I'll definitely be doing a stream. So catch that. I'll put that on Twitter, and be setting a reminder for that. So look out for that. If you watched it, thumbs up, like, share, comment, subscribe mainly. And thanks for watching if you've watched. Cheers. Catch you in the next one.